Good afternoon and welcome to this special edition of the Federal Executive Forum celebrating 17 years of profiling IT mission programs in the federal government. This is our second annual Profiles in Excellence Chief Information Security Officer program, which will be coming to you from the virtual studios of WTOP and the Federal News Network. I'm Luke McCormack, and during today's show, we will discuss cybersecurity trends and strategies at numerous government agencies and hear from key leaders making them happen. With me on today's show are Shane Barney, Chief Information Security Officer, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services at DHS, Mike Witt, Chief Information Security Officer at NASA, Janelle DeVore, Chief Information Security Officer, Department of Agriculture, Jim Richburg, Public Sector Field CISO and Vice President of Information Security at Fortinet, Zafar Balalolu, Federal Cybersecurity Engineering Leader, Databricks. All right, we are talking cybersecurity end to end. Shane, we haven't had you on the show for a little while, but I know you've been doing a ton of things out there. You all are on fire. Give us a state of the state about what's happening across the cybersecurity spectrum at Citizen and Immigration Service.
Good afternoon, Luke. It's great to be here. Like you said, we are very, very busy. For USCIS, we're always driving tip of the spear technologies, and so that forces the security program to be just like him. And so we're always shooting for what's next and what's coming down the pike. And so actually, we just finished revising our overall cybersecurity strategy. And so we really are starting to focusing in on these some key points that we feel are sort of part of that next generation cybersecurity effort. Goal one is going to be wrapped around, obviously, the zero trust principles and implementation and enhancing our overall posture. We've actually technically always had it. We used to call it cyber hygiene. Now we call it zero trust, but zero trust is fine. It's not the best term, but it works. Well, obviously, USCIS invested heavily into intelligence and threat hunting. That's something we're looking to expand. But we also want, at the same time, we want to be able to expand our response capabilities so that not only can we find the threats, we can respond quicker and faster, as well as build in better resilience. Resilience is one of those things that some of the lessons learned we've come out of recent incidents is that we've really got to focus and enhance our abilities there. Obviously, automation for USCIS is critical. We're an agency that's 90% cloud-based. The volume of data and the amount of information flowing and threat information hitting my SOC is just out of this world. So automation is the only way for us to really drive and really focus our efforts in the appropriate ways. And it goes beyond just what's in the SOC. We're automating risk, we're automating governance, we're automating as much of our program as we can possibly get away with, so that we can really get focused in on the threat hunting aspect of our mission. We also, obviously, training and workforce are a critical goal for us, and will remain so. Staying abreast of the latest technologies and the latest threats is an ongoing effort, and making sure that we're investing accordingly. We've invested heavily for the last few years, even during the pandemic when things were tight for USCIS, and we're going to remain doing so going forward. And finally, we're really looking governance for us and creating better standardizations. Zero trust requires a sort of, what we know to be the norm. And understanding the norm in an enterprise as complex as USCIS is very, very challenging. So really building in sound governance and oversight at all levels, and then leveraging both the automation aspects and some of our development efforts to help drive that approach. So those are our big sort of goals for this next year or 2 years, next 2.5 years.
A lot of activity going on, and no doubt a good architecture and standardization super important when you're pumping out that much velocity. No question about that. Mike, it sure has been exciting to watch NASA for all of us, and I'm sure for you, but must be a real challenge to secure that environment. Tell us what's happening. Give us an overall sort of, I wouldn't say global picture, but I guess I have to say solar system or beyond.
No, it's funny. I heard what Shane was talking about that, and it's a lot of what he's talked about. It mirrors my world as well from that standpoint. He mentioned zero trust. That's something as well as what we started doing a few years ago at NASA. It's not anything new. We've been doing it for a number of years. enterprise logging. We've got that or whatever, but we're expanding that out so that we have greater visibility across of what's actually happening, within our infrastructure, both on-prem as well as our cloud infrastructure around that. We also recently went through a large look at the endpoint detection and response for threat hunting, as Shane kind of had touched on as well from that standpoint. So we're in the process of implementing a new threat hunting capability across our entire enterprise around that. We're also digging into Secure Access Service Edge, what a lot of folks refer to as SASE, so that we can, look at, moving away from, I'll call it the traditional VPN accesses and stuff like that, and move more into taking advantage of a lot more of the new technologies and stuff out there. And then, again, as Shane kind of mentioned, just the overwhelming volume of alerts and everything that's feeding into our security operations center as well and stuff like that. We're actually partnering with another part of NASA to start using automated bots, if you will, within our cybersecurity operations to start taking away some of our, I'll say our common playbook response stuff around that and stuff. So that's some stuff that we're really kind of leading into there around that. Again, things are just really moving at such a quick pace to not only just keep up with the amount of technology that's out there, but at NASA, you talk about leading forward and stuff as far as research and everything that we're doing to for the Artemis program to go back to the moon and Mars and beyond around that and stuff. So it's really trying to stay ahead and working with our partners. And we got to do that balance of making sure that we manage risk. That's one thing that we really concentrate over here. It's not so much that we have to, I'll call it, lock everything down. You can't really do that these days. You got to manage risk. And at NASA, we take risks, right? I mean, that's what we do over here. So it's really working closely with our partners to ensure that they can perform the research and the missions that they need to do, but we do it in a secure manner in managing risk.
Really calculated risk and sort of, you're all about enabling the mission and doing that in a calculated way. Janelle, I'm always amazed at how huge the Department of Agriculture is. How many employees there? That footprint is always just daunting to me.
Yes. Thank you, Luke. Yes. So we have over 100,000 employees here at USDA. Very diverse missions within USDA, which makes working in cybersecurity here lots of fun. So here at USDA, just like the Shane and Mike mentioned, we're laser focused on implementing our cybersecurity modernization strategies that are laid out for us in Executive Order 14028. We've been successful in implementing items like enterprise critical software, enterprise logging, and a majority of our time has been spent on zero trust architecture because it's really turning everything that we've been doing on its head, and we're having to look at things a lot differently. So we spent a lot of time breaking out and distilling down the requirements for zero trust. And we've found there are about 110 or so discrete requirements in the implementation of that requirement, like expanding multi-factor authentication here, encrypting, segmentation of the network, to name several others. Also, OMB has very specific requirements that are added on top of that. I think this is great. I think this is, the implementation of the order has helped us tremendously because it's helped our agency really focus on, on cybersecurity. I mean, everybody has their business functions that they need to do. Now, cybersecurity is a priority here at the department. The secretary, the deputy secretary, all of their talking points, cybersecurity, they're stressing how important it is for the department. We're also focusing on continuous operational improvements in our Security Operations Center. So earlier this fiscal year, we started a project called SOC Maturation. And the intent is to move our Security Operations Center up the maturity stack. So we partner with Department of Homeland Security and some others to help us move up in maturity. That has been a great experience. We do have some actionable steps we can take. And as a matter of fact, throughout this fiscal year, we've actually moved up incrementally in some of the maturity requirements. So I'm really happy about that. And one last thing, risk management. I know Mike mentioned it. That is key. One of our priorities for fiscal year 23 is to integrate risk management strategies into the enterprise risk management framework to help address the business needs and make sure that cybersecurity is integrated into that as well.
A good balanced risk posture, always really important. It sounds like a lot of moving parts going on over there at USDA. Jim, in order to roll out these different kind of capabilities, we have to have great technology. Certainly you all are right smack in the middle of that. Give us a state of the state about what you're seeing from a Fortinet standpoint.
Well, thanks, Luke. As you noted, Fortinet is really at the center of the cybersecurity technology ecosystem. We've got an extremely broad portfolio. We deal with most of the federal agencies. Agencies have each got transformational plans. As Janelle said, a lot of them are focused on things mapping to the executive order. But if you want to know what people are doing, follow the money. So let me quickly thumbnail 3 areas where we're seeing across agency a lot of activity. One is continuing interest in zero trust, and that is manifesting in things like upgrading their on-premise firewalls, because next generation firewalls can serve as the policy enforcement points for zero trust. And to build on the comments that Shane and Mike said, they help in continuous monitoring and they help with the security automation. So there's a lot that's being done in the areas of on-premise security. Despite the transition to remote work and now hybrid, agencies are also continuing to update their on-premise trusted internet connections. We're seeing that cloud-based access to things like firewalls continues to be largely for those remote users. And the third area is that agencies are also buying a whole lot of non-wired, non-MPLS connections, like wireless and like satellite. And this means that they're able to facilitate implementing software-defined networking and the kind of connectivity communications resilience that would support connect from anywhere operating posture. So those are 3 of the big trends that we're seeing across the federal family.
A lot of moving parts going on there, and we're certainly thankful that you all are right in the middle of that, keeping that risk posture low. Zafar, tell us about over at Databricks, new on the show. Tell us, first of all, what is Databricks? So everyone has a good understanding of that. And then give us a state of state about what's happening across the community.
Yeah, absolutely. So Databricks, our company was founded in 2013. And we have over 7,000 customers, including many organizations in the public sector. And we've had, tremendous growth and huge number of customers using our platform for a large variety of data and AI use cases. And what we do is we provide a lakehouse platform, which is a best of breed between a traditional data warehouse and a data lake. So it combines the best capabilities of both of those tools, the BI and reporting capabilities of a data warehouse, and the AI and ML capabilities that you can use a data lake for. And this concept helps organizations simplify their data infrastructure, gives a single pane of glass to all of your data, and one platform that you can use for all of your use cases, whether it's AI, ML, or BI, or data warehousing, or even streaming and ETL. So now, while we have a general purpose data platform as our product, we're seeing a huge uptick in the number of cybersecurity use cases, particularly to augment existing SIEMs. And primarily because we can operate an order of magnitude cheaper than existing SIEMs for storing and analyzing large-scale data in the cloud. Most existing SIEMs, they have more of a legacy on-prem architecture for their software, which hurts their price performance operating in the cloud. And then on top of that, they typically have expensive licensing models that charge you based on the volume of data ingested. So what this lakehouse pattern is enabling in cybersecurity is greater visibility for a longer period of time into your cybersecurity log data. I had one customer recently tell me that prior to adopting the lakehouse, they had 90 days of historical data in their SIEM. And then for some of their high value but high volume log sources like CrowdStrike data, they only had 7 days worth of data that was searchable. So if they have an incident that goes past that 7-day time window, they're really out of luck with what they can discover through their data. And after building out their lakehouse, they were able to go to a full year's worth of history. And additionally, this organization had invested into a cyber ML organization. So data scientists attached their cybersecurity organization that wanted to create models within their company. And not just for threat hunting, but for creating these models. And they had struggled that with, again, on some of the legacy SIEMs. So they were able to accomplish some of that with our platform.
So important to be able to reach back, and the fact that you can do that, reach back a year and do that type of analysis is incredible. Well, let's talk about some specific programs. Mike, I'm going to go back to you at NASA and ask you to highlight a specific program that you'd like to inform our listening audience about.
I'll touch on 2 real quick ones, I guess. As I mentioned,
you're only going to Mars and the moon, right? I mean, come on. It's incredible what you all are doing, and we really do respect it.
No, I appreciate that. So as I mentioned earlier, we've been focused on zero trust for a number of years, and we began implementing software-defined network across all of our centers about 2+ years ago as we continue to set that foundation. And that's the critical foundation we need as part of that. And then we've also continued to move these efforts into our cloud-based applications as we work closer with Microsoft, in O365 Azure implementation, because it's how we provide access, alternative access, if you will, to a lot of our partners abroad. As you can imagine, we work with researchers around the globe. We've got partners that are helping us with, the Artemis program and stuff like that. So we've got to have those connections with them. The other one I'll touch on that I think, very proud of is I've been working with other federal CISOs, the CTO community, CISA, and Microsoft under the CIO Council to develop a soon released minimum O365 security baseline. And it's really great when we as a government come together to share and work, and we can accomplish so many things together on that one. So that one's right now it's in the arms of CISA. They're going to finalize that to get that rolled out and everything like that. But that's going to be coming out very shortly and stuff like that. We've been working on that the past year as a joint community across the federal government. And that's something I'm really proud of.
And that's fantastic. Now, what does that actually consist of? What's going to be sort of bundled into that?
It really gets into it, and it ties into zero trust because that's something that we really worked with OMB on around that. They want to make sure that we didn't leave out the zero trust importance around O365. But it really gets into making sure that as agencies onboard O365, because it's something we found very common, about 90+% of the federal agencies using O365. But what we found was we were all having to come in and figure out which settings we all needed individually for ourselves. And we needed what we wanted to do was have a minimum baseline. So they gave you a starting point, right? And so every agency, whether they're a large agency, a medium agency, or even a micro agency, right? We're all struggling, if you will, to figure out what do I need? What should my minimum baselines be or whatever like that. So we really wanted to have that common baseline of where to start from. It's not saying that you need to stick there, but it gives you that common baseline of where to start at, and then you can basically kind of tweak from there. But it put us all at the same starting. It'll put us all at the same starting point on. I'll call it day one, if you think of it that way.
Yeah, that's what a good architecture is all about. Fantastic. I'm really pleased to hear that. All right, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back in just a moment. You're listening to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network.